Hello, and thank you for joining yet another episode of the H.E.R Mindset Podcast. I am your host, Altimese Nichole, and I am so excited to introduce you all to a dear friend of mine, a sister of mine that I met years ago that instantly we connected. She is Terri Lomax, and she is a seasoned podcaster, speaker, and community builder dedicated to empowering others to heal, explore the mystical, and voice of the unspoken. With over a decade of experience in Silicon Valley, she's consulted for global brands like Meta, IBM, TikTok, HP, and PayPal, driving transformative change for her clients. Listen, girl, Terri, okay, we're gonna continue because we had a we have a visitor, but we're gonna continue. As the creator of Cultivating H.E.R Space podcast, featured by Forbes, Black Enterprise, Spotify, and more, Terri curates transformative experiences that inspire personal growth and self-expression. She also offers the Daily Manifestation Method, a powerful guide to reprogramming the mind and aligning with one's dreams. She's a proud mama, a passionate advocate for living unapologetically, which y'all know that is our lane. And she's on a mission to help everyone find their voice, connect with their purpose, and thrive. Thank you, Terri, for joining.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Oh, thank you. Listen, okay, so y'all, if you are listening to this podcast right now, my child has decided to come in and interrupt the conversation. I love you very much. Do you mind closing the barn doors and going back on the outside so I can finish the podcast, please? All right, I love you very much. Be careful. Do not hit anything since you have covered your face. Girl.
Girl, I get it. Yep. My daughter would be doing the same if she was here. I get it. Mm-hmm.
Girl.
Woo, child.
What?
I
Ooh, all
know.
right. Well,
I'm so
thank
excited to be here,
you.
though. Thank you so much for
Oh,
having me.
girl, I have been
Yes.
wanting you on the podcast for like a year now. And
Really?
I have. And I
Oh
was
my
just like, I knew
gosh.
you had so much going on. You have your own
Yeah.
podcast that you're building
Yeah.
and growing. So I just knew that, you know, life is just being life, right? So
Okay.
I don't know what possessed me this time to be like, girl, you want to come?
So
I've been
timely.
waiting. I've been
Okay.
waiting. Oh my gosh. Okay, so tell us the moment or the season that
Ooh.
you realized that there needed to be a level of commitment to your healing journey. Um,
Mm.
when did you discover that, like, okay, maybe I need to work on some things internally
Yeah.
to have the life that I want? And what did that season look like for you?
That is a beautiful question. The moment I realized that I needed to be on this healing journey. So here, what had happened was, right, the kind of short, I'm going to make a long story short. So growing up, right, grew up in an abusive household, physically, verbally, sexually abused, had very low self-esteem. And I was one of those people, I've been a great actress all my life, which I didn't realize because I was
Mm.
experiencing this abuse, but I was outside with my friends at school, smile on my face, and nobody knew that I was suffering
Wow.
inside. And so I experienced all of that. And then what happened was I was in grad school at the time, in my early 20s. And this was the very first time in my life where it was just me and me. I didn't have my siblings I
Mm.
was taking care of. I moved away, so I wasn't close to any friends. And I was in my apartment in Salisbury, Maryland, in my own place. And I was just, it hit me like a ton of bricks when I had to be by myself, no roommates. It was just me and me.
Oh, wow.
So all those
Yeah.
thoughts, all of the trauma, all of the things that I was running from, or either that I was able to hide or
Mm-hmm.
sort of turn the noise down on, that all began to surface. And so that was the moment that I finally, for the first time in life, at 2021, I decided to
Mm.
go to therapy.
Yeah.
And I was so surprised. I was like, how did I experience all this stuff? And this is the moment that I'm going, but better late than never, right? I didn't have the
Right.
support and resources previously, but that was the season of my life where I began to do some very intentional healing work because I had the space, I had the bandwidth, I had the capacity and the resources. And I was faced with myself. And I was like, I can't keep having these thoughts. I was struggling big time.
Mm. And let me tell you, girl, that's not late. That's not that. I commend you
Yeah, thank
because
you.
I was 25
25.
when I had my pivotal moment. And it
Yeah.
was like, honestly, friendships for me have always been very near and dear to my heart. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
grew up with my mom. My mom and dad divorced when I was 7.
Okay.
So it was just me and her. But her friends showed up for her like family. So that's
Mm,
all I knew. My aunties for a long time were her friends. They weren't my
mm-hmm.
actual aunts.
Yeah,
You
play
know what I'm
auntie.
saying?
Uh-huh.
Yes, they were my
Yes.
aunties. Even to
Yes.
this day, like her friends that she had in high
Yes.
school are still my godmoms, my
I love
aunties, and we still
that.
talk. Like, so that's the foundation that I have for
Yeah.
friendship, right?
Right.
I hit 25, and Terry, when I tell you, it was as if every friendship was falling off.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what is going on? Like,
Yeah.
what is happening?
Right.
And I was realizing that I was the common denominator. All these
Mm.
women are different. All these relationships are different. And I can decide to play this tape in my head saying
Mm-hmm.
that it's everybody else, but the person who is in the each relationship is
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
So I was 25, completely in a depressed state, losing people that I cared about. And I was like, I got to do something. And that was when
Right.
I decided to go to therapy for the first time. So I was like 25 years old. So I commend you because
Thank you.
at 21, you know, that is like a pivotal moment in your adulthood, right? Where you're
Yeah.
starting and you decided and you made the choice like, okay, let me do something to help
Yeah.
me in that season. That's absolutely beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. You know how it is though. You know how we put these time limits on ourselves and we're like, at this age, I
Yeah.
should have did this. I wish I would have went to therapy when I was younger because of everything I experienced. But even
Yeah.
25, it's like, shoot, if you're 45, as long as you go, like get
Right.
started,
Just
go do
go.
the journey. Yes.
Yes.
It's so, yeah,
Yes.
it can be so helpful.
Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes. And I think too, right? Our culture and
Mm-hmm.
how we grew up, oftentimes our parents, they didn't, yeah, they didn't
What?
talk. It was a what goes on in my house stays in my house type of
Period.
concept. Yeah.
Here, don't be telling my
Yeah.
business.
Right,
You
right,
better
right,
go
right.
pray
Yeah.
and take a nap.
That's all you need.
That's
Right. That's
it.
all you need. Go pray, sit in the corner,
Drink some
and then
ginger
come back when
ale.
you get yourself together. Right, right. Get
Okay.
yourself
That's
together
it.
and then come back and be all right. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So
Yes.
it was just, that was a hard season. And I'm
Yes.
sure for
Oh
you
my
it
gosh.
was too. Did you have anybody in your corner during that season that like was just there as support?
I'm sure I did. Yeah, I'm sure I did. I'm trying to think back to that period of time. Honestly, I did. I'm sure I had friends, but when I think about that particular season, I just kind of see myself in a room by myself. Like at this very moment, that's like all I can see. But I did
Yeah.
have people to support. But I think some of what I experienced was just it was in some ways a very lonely journey, but I think it was intentional. I
Yeah.
think that, spirit was trying to get me alone to show me the things that I needed to see about myself. Because I think another thing is sometimes when you're victimized, it's easy to kind of be in this, at least for me, it was for me because I had been victimized. It was easy for me to kind of be in this victim state. And so when I was in relationships, I had trouble being accountable, holding myself accountable, taking
Mm,
responsibility. I wasn't good at that because I don't know, I was in this victim posture. Like I was used to
mm.
being the one who was getting abused and being the one who was, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah. It
it was
does. It
difficult for me.
does.
So I think that in that season, I had to learn about accountability, also just like facing myself and all the things that I experienced. The negative self thoughts, though, and the negative narratives that I was replaying, a
Yep.
lot of them that were like old, that felt like old tape recorders from my childhood that were just on autopilot.
Playing over
That
and
was the
over.
hardest shit
Yes.
to face
Yes.
and deal with,
And can we be real? Can we be
Yeah.
real?
Yeah.
I feel like it doesn't go away. I feel like we evolve, we
Mm-hmm.
become more self-aware,
Yep.
right? We gain tools. But
Yes.
if we being 100 on this, those thoughts that I had
Yeah.
about my core fear of abandonment and
Uh-huh.
my it's still there. It's
Yeah.
it's still there, and if I do not proactively work to maintain a certain level of awareness, of
Mm-hmm.
accountability, of grit to move forward and be the
Yeah.
better version of myself, it can just creep right on back in.
Exactly. And I feel like that's what happened with me because in that season, I was doing the affirmations. And what I was
Yeah.
doing, I learned about the science behind this years later, which is fascinating how we can literally reprogram our minds and install new
Yes.
hardware. And I've done that through meditation and all these things. But I did the affirmations. I was doing all the confidence, boosting techniques. I started a platform where focused on that. But then what had happened was I stopped doing it because I was like, oh, I'm good. I'm healed. I'm confident now. And then when I
Mm.
think it was when, yeah, years later, I had a realization and I was like, oh, they crept back in because I wasn't doing the work. It's like you can't just set it and forget it. I think it's a
Mm.
lifelong journey
It
of
is.
you evolve, but also up leveling the tools and the new mindset. So for me, like when I was pregnant, that was a whole, I thought I loved my body before, and then that happened and my body changed. And I was like, whoa, I feel like I'm at square one again.
Wow.
So I think that depending on what season we're in, sometimes you got to pick up those tools again. And I thought that I was just done. Like, oh, I'm good for life. I'm confident. No, 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 no. You got to still do the
Yeah.
work.
Oh, girl. I don't know how pregnancy was for you, but for me,
Mm-hmm.
child, I was
Oh,
having dreams about
yes,
memories that I forgot all about. It was
girl.
filtering up just memories that I ain't I didn't think about. And then I'm waking up
Yeah.
from a very vivid dream that was really like a
Yes.
memory. And I'm
Yes.
like, what? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Was it like that for
That's
you?
intense. I remember having very intense dreams. And for me, so just to kind of give context, I was pregnant. I had a pandemic baby. So I was pregnant during the
Okay.
pandemic. And my grandmother, who was like my bestie, she passed in 2019. And one of her dreams
Mm.
before she left was like, I want to see my baby have a baby. And I was her baby. And she really wanted to be able to see my child because she helped raise me. And so she passed before I had my daughter. Actually, I was pregnant and I had a miscarriage while she was alive. And I was so sad.
Oh,
And then I ended up
I'm
having my daughter
sorry.
in 2021. Thank you. I had my daughter in 2021. And so when I was pregnant with my daughter, I had dreams of my grandparents
Mm.
playing with the baby. And so I had like some
Oh,
premonitions, I had some healing experiences, but also some old memories. And a lot of stuff came up. And
yeah.
as I mother my daughter, child, I thought I was like, okay, cool, the childhood trauma, like I faced it. Girl, it's a
No,
whole nother level for me right now.
it
Mm-hmm.
is because the
Mm-hmm.
little version of you comes up while you're
Listen.
trying to address your child.
Listen. And not that my
Like,
daughter be looking just like me when I was little. So like that is a whole other thing where I'm just like, oh my God.
yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yes, yes. Because I
Yeah.
one time there was I don't know what Ayana did, but she did something. And let me
Mm-hmm.
tell you, so my mom's name is Altimese. So when I was growing up, nobody called me Altimese. So my
Okay.
family does not call me Altimese. They call me Nichole because my mother's
Okay.
name is Altimese.
Interesting.
So yeah, so they don't, I'm
Wow.
Nicole. I'm Nikki. I
Right.
am not.
Okay.
Child, little Nicole came up in full force. I don't even know what she did. I have no idea. But it was like a anger of like,
Yeah.
no, like as in like me and her were battling to have our own way.
Mm.
And here I am as an adult feeling all
Yes.
of these things. And I'm just like,
Yes.
what? Like,
Okay.
so it's kind of like re raising yourself
Girl.
while raising your child.
Yes. That is it. I was wondering if other mothers felt that way because I asked my daughter's father, I'm like, are you being impacted in the same way? Because as I mother her, in addition to me seeing myself in her and that bringing me on a whole other journey, it has also been, it's cathartic and healing and therapeutic and all of that, but it has been
Yes.
very emotional because of, I think, the
Yes.
trauma I experienced. I look at her and I'm like, oh, at this age, I experienced this
Yes.
thing and this was happening to me.
Yes.
And I imagine her
Yes.
experiencing it and it just tears me
And it
apart.
just, yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. But his
Yes. You're
experience
not
is
alone.
different. His is,
Yeah.
and maybe it's like a dad thing. I don't know, but it has been very intense for me. So I'm
Yeah.
looking, I'm going back to therapy soon. I'm in
Yes.
therapy. I'm like, I have a counselor now, but I'm going back to like a grief counselor very soon to like process more stuff
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
more stuff has been coming up.
Yes, listen,
Hmm.
listen, and we'll dive into this a little bit as much
Yeah.
as you desire.
Yeah.
But I am going through the exact same thing right now
Yeah.
because I went through when you met me, and we were talking about this. When you met me, I was married. Then I
Yeah.
went through a divorce. Then I met an amazing guy. Wasn't even looking for it, girl. This
Right.
he just Yep, met him on an app, and now we're engaged to be married. But yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you. Listen,
You're
okay,
welcome.
so it the second go round, you're not your eyes wide open.
Mm-hmm.
You know what it takes to be married. You
Mm-hmm.
also know what it can look like if it doesn't work out,
Yeah.
right? So you have these ideas and this vision and you hold on to it because you're building something with someone, but then there's these thoughts in the back of your head that are just like, ooh, wait a minute, because remember last
Mm-hmm.
time, like it
Yeah.
literally is like that. So I've had to go back to therapy because I realized that in the process of my divorce I was very intentional with my healing. So
Mm-hmm.
I was in therapy. I did all the things, right? Even
Yeah.
through the marriage, by the time I asked for the divorce, I had total peace because I was like, I'm not
Okay.
getting out of this bitter.
Yeah.
I'm not getting out of this angry. We gonna go ahead. I'm gonna sit down with Jesus. We're gonna
Mm-hmm.
work this thing out and we're gonna move
Okay.
forward, right? So
Yes.
that was my focus. So when I got out, I felt good. There was
Yeah.
no bitterness. It was all love. The focus was co-parenting. Like it was
Right.
good. But when I get into a healthy relationship
Mm-hmm.
that's healthy not just with me,
Yeah.
but it's healthy with the co-parent. And
Okay.
it then it filtered up all of these thoughts
Yeah.
of like the what ifs of
Mm.
things that I've been through
Got
of
you.
how they could happen again. And I had to go back to therapy, not realizing, let me tell you.
Yeah.
So in the process of healing, right, we a part and you touched on this,
Mm-hmm.
accountability,
Yeah. Oh,
learning
girl.
that
Accountability.
accountability and ownership, right?
Oh, yeah.
In the process of the divorce, I distinctly remember being like, you got me. I was
Mm.
played, well played. And I took ownership.
Mm.
And I was just like, all right, it is what it is. Like, I'm not even going to be mad at you. It is what it is. Right. That ownership turned to self blame.
Mm.
It turned into self, and I didn't even realize it. Right.
Yeah.
And here I am raising a child, raising a daughter.
Mm.
And her last um, progress report, we
Right.
had a conference call with her teacher, and she's like, oh,
Yeah.
Ayana is doing great, she's doing wonderful. She was like, but she was like, she's really hard on herself. She was like, if she makes a mistake, she's like, you would think she feels she is the mistake, not
Mm.
that she made a mistake. And I'm like, where is
Girl.
she getting this from? Like,
Wow. Right.
yes. I was like, where is she getting this from? So I found a therapist for me and her.
Good for you.
Yes,
Yes.
to find out she's getting it from me.
Uh huh.
And I'm like,
What?
how? Yeah.
Okay. They be
Yeah.
girl. They be watching everything.
Girl.
Okay.
Girl. And I was like, I told the therapist, I was like, I don't have conversations around her like that. And she was like, it doesn't matter. She was like, she lives with you.
The
She
energy. Uh
see,
huh.
yeah, she was like, the
Yes.
energy, she is absorbing all of that. And
Yes.
she said
Mm-hmm.
she's learning how to handle and navigate through you.
Yeah.
And it blew me away. It blew me
Mm.
away. So I am a huge proponent. Like if you got to
Yes.
go 5, 6 times in your lifetime
Oh.
for, or just keep them,
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
just
I
keep
plan
them.
to do that for life. Absolutely.
Yeah, just keep them,
Mm-hmm.
keep them.
Mm-hmm.
Because yes, girl, like that was hard for me though to
Yes.
realize that my self blame, my
Yeah.
child is now doing it,
Mm-hmm.
and
And that's
and
how
and the
things get
therapist,
passed down. Yeah.
I
And the
know.
generations. Did you work on like having like being compassionate towards yourself though? Because you didn't come out the womb with that. Like you probably
Right.
learned that from someone else. And we do the best
Yes.
we can with what we have. Like that's and I think as
Yeah.
a mom now, I see, even though my mom, she was on one, like she did some
Yeah.
things. So I was like, Mama, I ain't gonna do this thing. But like, I can understand how she could get to certain places. I don't agree with it,
Yeah.
not making excuses for it, but I'm like, okay, I could understand how someone who's struggling with XYZ can get to this place. It gives me
Yes.
more compassion and I feel like it's giving me more compassion with myself too. So I'm sure you work through that in therapy, but I'm like, girl, you're amazing.
I am working
Yes.
on it literally as we speak.
Okay.
I'm working on it
Okay.
as we speak because and it was something, it's kind of like how you talked about you felt like you were healed and
Yeah.
it creeps back. It literally just snuck up, and I call it the residue. I call it
Mm-hmm.
the residue, right? Like,
Yep.
because you can heal from the experience with someone,
Yes.
or a traumatic experience that you've had, but
Yep.
it comes with residue because you learn how to cope.
Exactly.
You learn how to cope through that process. So you heal, you forgive, but then there are coping mechanisms that may not be the healthiest
That
for
part.
us. Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of that, now I want to call you Nikki because I feel like if I call
Yes,
you
go
Altimese,
ahead.
I feel like I'm not
You not
family, and I'm like
family?
I want to be family. So
Yes.
Nikki, what's
Yes,
good, Nikki?
girl.
So girl, let me tell you something real quick. Now you talked a bit about your journey, right?
Yeah.
And there are some parallels in our journey. And I say all this because I want to get to the juicy part of my experience. I got to tell you some stories, girl. But when we met, I was married, did not have a child. And fast forward to today, I am divorced. I have a almost 4 year old. And let me just tell you, girl, after the separation, like once we were, living in different homes and we were separated, I found myself in a similar place that I was in when I was
Mm,
in my early 20s. And that was
mm,
me. I was outside. It was me being outside. And I like to
mm.
call it people, y'all may have heard this before, but the whole phase, okay?
Yes.
I was on the apps. I was out in these streets. And when I look back, I said, girl, what were you doing? It was, Nikki, a
Listen,
lot was
listen.
going on.
You listen. You was in. I call it the villain phase, where you
Oh,
just,
absolutely.
yeah, you just like whatever.
Villain with a
I
capital
want you
V,
when I want you, and I don't when I don't. Bye.
period.
Like, yes,
Period. Okay. So I was
yes.
doing all that, girl, and I was having fun. It was like I felt like I was, like I was a teenager again. It just felt like, oh, I'm outside, I'm doing this, doing that. And then it got old real quick. And I was
Yep.
talking to one of my homegirls, like shout out to my homegirl, my matron of honor, who was my matron when I got married. Shout out to Serena. So her and I were talking about all the things, and I was giving her the inside scoop, like, yeah, girl, he did this, da, da, da. We're doing that. And then one day she was like, what are you searching for? And I just like,
Mm,
without even thinking, I was just like, oh, I'm looking for, it was about sex. It was about validation. Like it was about all these things. Right. And then
mm,
when I really began to sit with that, and then my therapist had recommended this book by Louise Hayes called You Can Heal Your Life. Girl,
mm.
I'm gonna paint the picture for you. So I'm in my loft. I hope I don't get emotional, but I was in my loft by myself one day. My daughter was with her dad. I was reading this book, and what it said to write down all, like on a notebook, write down all the things that you heard about yourself when you were younger that maybe weren't the best. I
Mm.
had about 2 pages. So on one
Mm.
page, I had a column going down the other side, and then another page. And as I did that activity, I was literally on the floor in my house crying my eyes out. And I feel like that whole journey, like it was fun, it was wild. I was being free and a little reckless, but it all brought me back to myself. And the thing is, I
Yeah.
had to experience all of those things because what I realized is I was attracting guys. At one point, I was like, I'm attracting guys that are not aligned with me. And it
Yep.
all boiled down to worthiness. And I was like, wait, but I was
Yep.
married. You know how people say that when you marry, it's like, oh, I'm chosen. I
Chosen.
got wifed up. So
Mm-hmm.
I did that. I had the baby. I got my master's degree, y'all. I done wrote
Yep.
a book,
Same. Yep.
climbed the
Same.
corporate ladder. Like I'm lit
Yep.
online
Same.
and all this.
Yep.
Same, right? But
Same.
deep down inside, there were a couple things that were communicated to me when I was younger, and I was still feeling unworthy about them. Now,
Mm.
I'm dressed up today, right, for this conversation. But when I was younger, I heard the statement, you're ugly, from people who were really important to me that I valued, and I believed them because I didn't know any better. And so I believed them. And that was like still sitting within me, like, you're not worthy, you're ugly. One of my cousins, when I was younger, we don't do the stepsister and stepbrother thing in my family. Like we family, right? So my sister,
Family.
I'll say my
Right.
sister, we're not blood, but she's my sister. We grew up together as my sister, right? My cousin used to say whenever we would come to my grandmother's house, he'd be like, why are you so ugly? And your sister, like your sister looks better than you, which is a weird thing to say in
Right.
general.
Period.
But we were young. Kids are
Yeah.
sometimes mean.
Kids.
And he
Yep.
continued to say that. And so I began to believe that, like, oh, damn, like, I'm not good enough. I also it got communicated to me that I should be the peacemaker. So I'm coming into situations not
Mm.
valuing my needs enough
Mm-hmm.
to communicate them. And I'm there
Mm-hmm.
to please other people. So I'm a people pleaser.
Mm.
I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. So I did all these things in the world, but deep inside, what I realized is that I did not feel worthy. And that hit me like a ton of bricks.
Mm.
And ever since that phase, or ever since that, instance, I have been on a different phase in the journey. So I'm no longer in my villain, not in that villain era.
Yeah.
I'm in a new
Uh-huh.
space now. But yeah, girl, I feel like that experience really shifted things for me. And then my daughter, she gave me access to a deeper level of love and compassion for myself that I
Mm.
didn't even have the capacity to offer myself. And so being able to
Mm.
see a little person, where I look at my baby pictures, I look at baby pictures and I see her in me. I'm just like, this is wild. I see this
Yeah.
little girl who looks
Yeah.
like me. Whenever my dad or family sees her, they're like, oh my gosh, this is your twin. So I'm now raising a little me, even though she's
Mm-hmm.
her own distinct person, like her own person. But in my,
Yeah.
mothering eyes, I'm raising this little me. She's the most
Yep.
beautiful thing in the world to me. I love her to pieces. And I see that when we do our affirmations in the mirror and I speak things over her,
Mm.
she believes me. And it makes
Yeah.
me think about, oh, wow, like little Terri, you just believed what everyone around you said. Like, so
Yeah.
it gave me a chance to forgive
Mm.
myself for showing up in a certain way, because I blame myself as well. I was like, well, why did I, do this and do that and let this person in and then take them back and do, and it's like, what was the foundation, right? My foundation wasn't
Mm.
solid. And so now I'm rebuilding that foundation as I give my daughter the best foundation, because she is confident as ever, loves
Yes.
herself, and she has more than I had and will go farther than
Yes.
me. And I love that for her. Okay.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Oh my gosh. And you know what? I know that moment was probably one of the hardest
Mm,
in that moment. It didn't feel good in that
no.
moment. It was like a breaking in that moment of realization.
Yeah.
Um, but it's when you look back, do you see it as beautiful?
Oh my gosh, I needed it. Absolutely.
Mm.
All of the experience over the past like year and a half that I've been on this journey, I absolutely needed that and I wouldn't take it back. It was painful and it hurt,
Yeah.
especially again, like the accountability aspect and kind of balancing having accountability and realizing that, Terri, you are showing up in a way where you are attracting because at one point it was about sex for me. Like when I was outside, like, oh, I'm just trying to have fun. And then it was like, well, it might be nice to have a little, like a little something more, nothing too serious because I just got out of
Yeah.
a, long relationship. But I was attracting men who didn't value me and who didn't see my
Yeah.
worth. And it was like, well, baby, you're attracting them because that's the energy you're putting out. You
Yes.
can't
Come
attract them
on.
if your energy is not on the same level. And so that was how I was
Oh
showing
God.
up. And now in this season, I'm in a whole different season, so much more confidence. Motherfuckers be hitting my phone, and I'm not. It's just like I'm
Yes.
disgusted. Like not in like
Like,
a
yeah.
mean way of like everyone's
Yeah.
God's children, right? But like I'm not. I don't have. We're not on the same wavelength. I don't have a
No, we're
desire
not.
to even entertain that.
Girl, say it again. Listen, I even down to just relationships in general.
Yeah.
Like, there's a certain frequency that we have,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that frequency attracts people who are on that same frequency.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm on 106.5 FM
Mm-hmm.
and you're on 72.1 AM,
Yeah.
our frequencies do not align.
No.
We're not even going to see each
We
other.
just going by
We
like
just,
what do they
we're
say?
going
Ships in the
by,
night.
yeah,
Yeah.
uh-huh, yeah.
Like.
So like it, and I've had this conversation with friends, honestly,
Mm-hmm.
because in my friend space, if I'm being fully honest, and just transparent about it, I I don't deal with feeling like there's competition. I
Yes, girl.
don't have friends who are not supportive.
Yes.
My relationships are full of substance.
Mm.
So when I hear women say, "Oh, women are jealous," and blah 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 blah, I honestly, Terry, I don't understand it. Like it is.
Right.
I don't. I'm like, like it's just like,
Yes.
I'm like, well, change your frequency
Yes.
because I don't even have in my orbit. And if
Mm-hmm.
there was a woman in my orbit that had that energy, it was so oblivious to me because we are not even on
Yeah.
the same frequency that eventually she fell off.
Yeah. She may have been pretending to show up on this
Right.
frequency, but then it was revealed like,
Uh-uh.
that ain't it.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
because you can't stay long. And I think that
Exactly.
relationships are the regardless of the type of relationship,
Yes.
it's the same way. It's the exact
Yes.
same way. So if and I thought about this, right? Because somebody asked me, they said, you've moved on, like, and you have this great relationship, you have this great person in your life. How you gonna feel when he moves on? And I'm
Oh.
like, I want him to. Like, please
Mm-hmm.
understand.
I'll
Like,
be
I
happy
want
for him.
him. Yes, I will be happy for
Yeah.
him. Why
Yeah.
would I feel any other kind of way?
Exactly.
Because we ain't on the same frequency no more. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So, like, so why
Mm-hmm.
would I feel, if I feel something, I need to talk to my therapist about that. That's something that I need to address because that
Yes.
shouldn't be there. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? And it's just like that's about the frequency. It's about the
Mm-hmm.
frequency that we're on when we're in
Yeah.
relationships with people. And I've learned that there are a difference between expectations and
Mm-hmm.
standards.
Mm.
There is a difference because expectations are where you expect someone to meet a
Mm-hmm.
certain level that you
Yeah.
may or may not have yourself.
Mm.
Whereas
Okay, I like that.
a standard is set by the person giving the standard.
Mm-hmm.
So if I have a standard, it's not a matter of an expectation. You must
Yeah.
meet at the baseline a standard
Okay.
that's already set.
Okay. It's a prerequisite.
It's a
Like if the standard's
prerequisite.
not met, you cannot pass
You
go,
can't,
my
that's
G.
it.
Like,
Yes, yes, that's
period.
it. It's the
I
same.
love
And I think
that.
about it from like vehicles, right? Vehicles,
Mm-hmm.
they have base models and
Right.
then they have the tiers above that.
Mm-hmm.
But there's not going to be anything underneath that base.
Exactly.
That's
That
the
is the
standard.
standard. Yeah. Oh, come on now. Drop the gems.
Girl,
I like it.
let
Okay. I'm
yes.
gonna use that. I love that.
Yes, girl, use a way because
Okay.
I'm just like, it's a lot
Yes.
of it's a lot of conversations happening. I know you see them on social media about alpha
Yeah.
males and high
Yes.
value
High
women, and
value and
yeah, and it's just like
mm-hmm.
you set the standard for your life, right?
Yeah.
Set the standard, and then someone who aligns with that standard,
Yep.
you guys will connect. Anybody
Exactly.
who doesn't, they won't.
Exactly. And you know what else, Altimese? My bad. Hold up. You know what? I'm so used to calling you Altimese. You know what else, Nikki?
Yeah.
So I gotta correct myself. Hold up. I'm family. I'm
Yes,
family.
because you family
Nikki,
girl.
come on.
Yes.
The other thing I also had to tap back into was one, how to spend my alone time. Because I think that was another thing for me when I
Mm,
first got separated and I had this newfound time because of us co-parenting. It was like, oh, I'm an introvert, but I also have been in a relationship for 12 years. I've been a
yep.
mom for like two,
Same.
3 years. So now I'm like, even though I was an introvert, what do I do with this time? So I think I was also running for myself in the beginning because I didn't want to face
Yeah.
myself. And then I also worked on trusting my intuition again in a different way
Yo.
because when I saw
Yes.
certain signs, like there were certain things, I remember talking to a few guys and there were certain things that happened or that they said or I witnessed or my gut was just like, mm-mm. And I
Mm-mm.
was like, we gonna keep going. We just gonna see what happens.
Right.
Like,
Girl, don't.
ma'am. And so
Yes.
I effed around and
Oh,
found out what had
found
what
out.
happened. I found out. I effed around and found out. And so then I was like, oh, okay, I probably should have listened. And so I think that's another thing where
Mm,
now versus where I was previously, I'm in a season where if I communicate a standard, because sometimes people may not know, right? It's like, okay,
yeah.
you may not know. This is where we're at. If that's
Yep.
communicated and then there's no behavior change,
Yep.
you know, I was given lots of chances before. Now it's like, okay, well, let's part ways. I don't want to force anyone to be something that they're
Mm-hmm.
not. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I want to sit back
Mm-hmm.
and let someone show up how they want to show up with the feedback I've given. And if you show me what you really want to do, then you do what you really want to do, and I just won't be involved in that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So
Yep. Oh, I love
yeah,
that. I love that. I always say, like, my love is unconditional, but access to me is not.
that part. My love is unconditional, but access to me is
Access to me
not.
is not.
Period.
So I could easily part ways with someone and love you
Mm-hmm.
and be okay with parting because,
Yes.
like, for whatever reason, whatever behavior you have shown, you've
Yes.
revoked your own access.
Listen.
Like,
That part. Don't try to make me the bad guy
right,
because
right, right.
you did that
Because,
to yourself. You revoked your own
right.
access. You knew what the standard was and you still
Yes,
decided to
you
show up
didn't
in
meet
this
it.
way. Sorry, my guy.
Yes, that's
Like,
it. That's it.
that's it.
That's
That's it.
it.
That's all.
And it's so crazy. So my previous relationship was 12 years as well. That's insane.
Really?
It was yes.
What?
Yeah, it was
Did you get into
insane.
the relationship in your early 20s?
Yes, 24.
Yeah, see, I think that's
Yep.
another thing too. You know how when women
We were so
get into
young.
some women, right? Girl, in my mind though, when we're young, I want to be married by 25. I want to like
Yes.
have it. Everything's about this
Yes,
and that and that. And then you,
girl. Yes.
mm-hmm.
And look, I met him when I was 24. I would say I had marriage on a pedestal. It was like a
Uh-huh.
it was like an idol at one
Yes.
point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I love the concept of marriage and the design of
The
it in terms
idea.
of having your forever friend, like your
Yes.
built-in best friend. Like
Yep.
that was just something that I didn't grow up around, but
Mm-hmm.
I learned to I just got I was captivated by it.
Yeah.
So
Many of
when
us
I
are.
girl, because I okay, so
Yeah.
in college, right? I did not want to get married. I did not want to have
Yeah.
kids. I was the
Oh.
friend. Yeah, I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm good on that. And I shout out to my friend Vicky. We had a whole ride to Walmart going to get
Uh-huh.
stuff in college. And she's
In
like, I
college.
don't know, Auntie. She was like, I think you want to get married and have kids. And I was like, girl, no, I don't. I do not. I'm going to be everybody's auntie
The
to their
rich
kids.
auntie.
I'm the rich aunt.
Okay.
Yes. I was like,
Yes.
I'm not going to do. And we argued that whole ride to Walmart. Cause she was like, I don't know. She was like, I think you're supposed to be a wife and a mom. And I'm like, what? Who are you to
What?
say? La, 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 la.
Okay.
Like literally, girl at 24,
Mm-hmm.
I had a moment by myself reading a
Yeah.
book,
Uh-huh.
and the book broke me down.
Yes.
It broke me down. And I
All the
was
way to the
just
ground.
all the listen. And I was just like, oh my God, I do want it. I want it. So like
Right.
maybe, I don't know, maybe 2, 3 months later, I met my ex-husband.
Stop.
Yes.
2, 3 months
And
later.
yes. So I was like, okay, like this is where we're going, right? I even told him, girl, I was bold. I told him, I said, listen, I'm being prepared to be someone's wife.
Mm.
So if you are not being prepared to be a husband, it's cool. We can
Right.
just like part ways. I
Yes.
said, but know that if we keep going this route, that's implying that you're also being prepared to be someone's husband.
Mm-hmm.
And I should have known. I should have known something because he said, let me think about it. It took him a day. Girl, I should have known. I should have known. Let me think
Okay.
about it.
Let me think.
And you
Okay, that's
know,
an interesting response. Okay.
listen, the 24-year-old Nikki
Yeah.
was like, okay, now I know
Mm-hmm.
that was a place right there where
Yeah.
he said without saying
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't on his radar. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And had
Yeah.
I been um cognizant to and
Mm-hmm.
sensitive to those internal cues,
Yes.
but everything happens for a reason.
Exactly.
Everything happens
Exactly.
for a reason. But for like I say probably by the second or third year, I was
Mm-hmm.
pressuring him for marriage.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, for
Okay.
the second or third year. But he didn't propose until the fifth. Girl, right before I had already made up in my mind.
Right?
You
Like I'm
have
about to be
until my
out of here.
birthday.
Okay.
I was like, nothing by my birthday. I ain't it for you, bruh.
It's a
I
wrap.
ain't it. It's a wrap. And he proposed that New Year's Day. But I
Oh my
wish,
god.
I was so young. I was,
That's a baby, like the early
yeah,
20s. That's
I
when I'm
was so
realizing being in my
young.
mid 30s now. I'm like, girl, the 20s is for us to learn ourselves and do all that. And people say that. I feel
Yes,
like people have said that, right? They're like, girl, do it. But we,
yes,
we got to have our own experiences. Because I'm
yes,
like, if I didn't go through all the things, I wouldn't have the tools and the perspective. And
right.
now, you know, sometimes I could be hard headed too. You know, like
Me too.
I learned a lesson and then I'm like, oh, I'm back here again, just being hard headed. You just like, what are we doing?
Like,
And so
what
I
you
think that,
doing?
so someone just telling me, like, oh, don't do that. No, I gotta go see it for myself. I wanna go see what it's like, you know? And then I see
Yeah.
what it's like, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then sometimes you gotta do it a couple times, and then it's like, okay, I'm really done now. Don't test me. So yeah, I get that.
Yes, a
Mm-hmm.
girl. And I think for me, there was a bit of people pleasing. Like,
mm,
um, I can identify with you when you were saying that um, people told you were the peacemaker, right?
yes. Oh, absolutely.
In my scenario, it was more about the attention.
From
So
whom?
my mom,
Okay.
so she worked a lot, and this is something that I'm very mindful of now with my
Okay.
daughter, right? Because I'm,
Yeah.
business owner, you know, work, have a team, doing all the
Yeah.
things, right? And I want her to know that she doesn't have to compete with those
Mm,
things,
yes.
right? So if you're coming with me on these trips, you're coming with me. Like you don't have
Yep.
to compete, right?
Exactly.
But when I was growing up, it felt like I got my mother's attention when I did good things or when I did
Mm-hmm.
bad things.
Okay. Yep.
So there was a season where it was a lot of bad. Girl getting
Yeah.
suspended from school, all kinds of stuff. OSS, ISS, smacking
Oh,
people
I remember
upside the head.
ISS. Oh,
Listen,
Nikki.
girl,
Oh, look at
listen,
you. I'm just
girl. I
playing.
was
She was out there.
child. Oh,
Listen.
so like I But now I'm like, okay, I was doing all of this for attention.
Yeah.
I'm an adult now.
Yes.
So this place of people pleasing,
Mm-hmm.
it's not serving me. It's making me extremely resentful because I'm saying yes to
Listen.
things that I don't want to say yes to.
Okay. Listen.
Like I want to be like, no, I don't want to do that for you.
Nope.
No.
That's
No.
it. Mm-hmm.
But my mouth is not saying what my heart is feeling.
Exactly. And then your stomach is all in knots. You got
Oh,
anxiety, the resentment,
girl.
talking
Girl.
shit in your head like this
Hey,
month. And
listen, the whole
you the one who said
scenario, you
yes.
playing the scenario over and over in your head like I
Listen.
should have said, I should have did. Ooh, ooh,
Exactly.
ooh. Like, yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
And I'm telling myself, you the one who said yes, though. And I'm like, damn, because people will what we allow will continue. And so
It
keep on
tell
doing
me
it. And that
about
was,
it.
and see, I feel like too, Nikki, I was like, the people pleasing was so deeply like ingrained into me
Mm,
that I would suffer. Like it would take me to like the point of near, it felt like I had to be on my deathbed to finally
yeah.
speak up. And there were
Yeah.
like two instances in my life where I got one in particular where I got effed over in a very
Mm,
in a pretty bad way with the company that I was working with, and that was the moment that I was like, mm-mm. And I think about my daughter, right? Like she didn't just make me a mother; she really made me a warrior for love, boundaries, and healing. Because the
oh.
way that because of what I experienced growing up, the way that I speak up for her, the way I advocate for her, is like nothing I've ever done for myself. And so I feel like she
Mm,
put me in a posture to be able to show up in that way. And now, as
yeah.
an adult and someone who has had to have those experiences of where I got effed over, and now I'm at the point where I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore. One, having a child makes it so easy to say no and to make excuses because
Listen.
you're a mom now. What Kiki
Yeah.
Palmer say? Like, I'm a mother. Like,
Right.
I can't go do that. I'm a mother. Like, I can't
Yeah,
join you all
exactly.
here. Yeah, I have to go get my child. Like, it
I
makes
love
it
her, by the
easy.
way.
Okay, me too. I love,
I
and the
love
fact that
her.
she's younger than us and she is just so dope and
Oh
fly.
my
I
God.
love
And
that.
doing it. Oh, I
Sis,
love it.
okay? And
Oh,
motherhood, her new brand, like we're gonna have to figure out how to collaborate with her because that's
I
amazing. I love
know. I
everything
love
she's doing.
her. I love her. So,
And the
for your process, how
yeah,
did you? Okay, so we know, you and I know that boundaries, they are
yeah.
two there are two steps in boundaries, right? The
Mm-hmm.
first step is creating and communicating
Uh-huh.
those boundaries. That's the first step. That's
Yeah.
that's that's number one.
That's the easy
Number
part.
two, right. Number two is the enforcement
Enforcing. Yes.
of those boundaries.
That
How
part.
can you tell us, like, how did you, in the process of saying, okay, you know what, I can't just say yes all the time, I have to create these boundaries in my life,
Yeah.
in those moments, how did you integrate number one and number two? Because of course people going to try you, they're going to try
Yeah. Oh,
you
they gonna
when
try
they're
you.
used to you saying yes. How
Oh,
did you do that?
absolutely. Girl, to be honest, I had so many conversations with my therapist about various
Mm,
people in my life to help me have those conversations. I'm a big note taker and I also write letters. Like that's
okay.
my way to communicate. So even when I was younger, I would like
Okay.
write my parents' letters, put it
Me
under the
too.
door.
And put them
And
under the
even with
door. Would they
yes, with
respond?
partners, they would respond. I think we would talk about it. My mom was
Okay.
also in prison for like a great deal of my life, so I think letter writing was just like something that I just it was what
Mm,
we did to communicate because we wasn't always able to do JPay and do the phone call. So it was like we're gonna
yeah.
write some letters. And so even with partners, I would write letters, write my thoughts out. So that's one thing I'll say is having a master's in conflict analysis and dispute resolution that has been very helpful for me learning better communication methods because the communication I saw growing up was not healthy and that shit would have me locked up
Mm.
right now. So thankful for my degree.
Not
Thankful
locked
for
up.
my degree. Girl, I'm for real. Like the violence I saw, mm-mm. So we got to use our tools. So I would say that the degree that gave me some good tools, but also therapy. So I would literally be in therapy sessions and in my sessions, I would talk to my therapist about, okay, this is the person I want to talk to. These are the boundaries I want to communicate. And we'd talk, we'd role play in the session. One big thing for me was like during my pregnancy, the way that I wanted my birth, it was
Mm,
so intentional. And I wanted to have a home water birth. My husband and I, we wanted to have a home water birth. And for me, whoever was in the room was very important. And there was a
yeah.
situation where I don't want to get into too much detail, but there was a doula, a backup doula that we were considering having there. And when we had our whole birth team, a beautiful group of Black women come to the house and we were meeting, my gut was not sitting with the woman. Like I just wasn't, something was off.
Mm,
And so I talked to
mm.
my husband about it. We talked to the head doula. And at first I brought it up in therapy because I was like, I don't want to be extra. And I said, wait, I'm about to push this baby out of my body. I need to make sure that every single thing that I
Right.
need is communicated because I'm about to undertake this
Yep.
big task. And so I communicated it with my husband. He also felt the vibe. We talked to the doula and we got what we needed. So that was like another instance of my daughter
Mm.
and her life like pushing me
Yes.
to move forward. So to
Yes.
answer the question, it was really therapy, role playing, and using my support system to create the boundaries and then to enforce them.
Yes. Because enforcing, that's the key. You
Yes.
can say all
You can
day,
set
every
them.
day. You can,
Mm-hmm.
say, don't cross this line. Don't cross
Yep.
this line. But if somebody crossed that line, are
Mm-hmm.
you willing to enforce the boundary? What happens
Exactly.
after they cross the line, right? And I
Exactly.
think it's important too to make sure they understand what's on the other side of that line. You know what I'm saying? Don't just
Listen.
say,
Okay.
don't cross this line. Say, don't cross this line. Or on the
Yeah.
other side, right? You could
Mm-hmm.
lose this relationship if you
Okay.
do. You know what I'm
And then be
saying?
ready to do that though, right? We gotta be ready to do
Yeah,
the
be
thing. Even with
prepared.
discipline for the littles, it's like if I
Oh,
told you not to do
girl.
this thing, this is what's gonna happen. So if you don't do that, there's gonna be that's what we're talking about now. Consequences.
Oh, girl, listen.
I
That is so hard because
know.
I want to be like, nah, it's not that big of a deal.
I
It's not that
know.
big. But then I'm just like, no, I need her to see
I know.
that I follow through with what I say.
That part.
I need her to
Yep.
see that if mommy says this will happen,
Mm-hmm.
this will
This
happen.
happens. Yep.
So if I tell her, hey, if you don't do this, then this will happen. I
Mm-hmm.
need to make sure that happens, even if she's crying. She's like, "Mommy, I
I
won't do it
know.
again." And I'm just like, "Oh my God, it's not that big of a
So
deal,
hard.
girl." Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes, I
I
do.
have to follow through, and it's so profound when I realize that in the same way my 6-year-old can identify when I don't keep my word,
Mm-hmm.
and she can use that, adults do the same thing,
Girl, tell me about it. Yes.
and it's mastered because
Uh-huh.
they most likely had a whole bunch of years to practice, to
Yeah.
be to push the boundary, to be like, oh, okay, well, I see you saying this about yourself, but you're not really doing it for yourself, so okay,
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
So I'm
You
not
know what I'm
gonna
saying?
follow the boundary. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Why should I, person, honor you when you don't honor yourself?
Listen, why should I honor you if you don't honor yourself? That's it right there.
Mm,
We literally teach people how to treat us.
we do. We do.
Damn, that was
We
deep.
do.
That
We
was a
do.
word,
In so
Nikki.
many ways. In so many ways. And if there is a moment in relationships, now, of course, there are outliers, right? Like there are
Yeah.
people who will intentionally, like just, that's just them, that's their stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if it's a consecutive experience where it's like
Mm-hmm.
in one or two, like 2 or 3 relationships, right? Or
Yeah.
you've seen it before, it's time for you to pay attention, to be like, okay,
Yes.
maybe there's something that I'm putting out that's saying
Mm-hmm.
that this behavior is okay,
Yeah.
or it's okay for you to treat me this way, or
Yeah.
it's okay for you to say these things to me, because nah, boo, it's not okay for
Mm-mm.
you to say these things. And
No.
I'm not going to be the one to like have this toxic back and forth with you for us to be back where we were. No, 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 that's toxic.
Mm-hmm. I'm
That
not
is not
participating
healthy,
in your
right? I do not
circus. Okay.
subscribe.
No.
0 stars. Will
Period.
not revisit again.
Do not recommend.
Right, do not
Like,
recommend. I just, so we just like, it's amazing. And I am a chapter leader for my the college that I attended, right? So every
oh,
year they bring
amazing.
us back and they give
Mm,
us like a leadership summit. And they
right.
had this guy. He was an expert, and he was certified in teaching crucial conversations. So they gave us the
Mm,
Crucial Conversations book. We were talking about that,
okay.
right? But he told us, he said, think about how you expressed anger as a child,
Mm,
and think about if you didn't get your way, how would you respond?
mm,
And then after that, he said, now think about how you handle it now. He said it's just a mastered version.
yeah.
And I was like, it is.
Wow.
It
Yes.
is.
That's
It
facts.
is.
I had to write that down. I'm like, oh, snap. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So when
Wow.
you identify that, you can also start to identify that people. That's how they're
Mm-hmm.
responding to you. They're responding to you in the same way that they did when they were a child, but it's mastered into adulthood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And unless, like, let's say we don't like it, right? We don't handle conflict or not getting our way in the best
Yeah.
possible way, we can identify that and change the behavior. But it's
Mm-hmm.
a matter of identifying it. And let's be real, everybody's not going to evolve.
That, can we take a moment of silence for that? Everyone is not going to. Nikki, I feel like because I'm a forever optimist, I would be like, oh, this person's going to change. I'm going to give them a chance. And I feel like my mom, for me, has been the biggest example of that. And I had to go no contact. So it's been
Yeah,
5 years of us being estranged. And
yeah,
it's been
yeah,
the healthiest thing that I
yeah.
could have done for myself in my life because I was in this circle, this cycle of, you know, letting
Yes,
back in and the same things would happen. And like it wasn't good for my
yes,
mental health. So that is a point, that is a very important point right there. Because some of us who are very positive and forever optimists, we think people will change, especially when you start talking about narcissists and things of that nature.
yes.
Some people are just in this lifetime, they are just not going to make the change. And
Mm,
that's okay.
and that's okay. That's
Hmm.
okay. It's
It's their
okay.
journey.
It's their journey. Yes, it is their journey. That's okay. That's okay. And I don't think everybody is going to evolve, grow, heal, identify. So there are some people who have no desire at all.
Yes.
They just like, this is who I am. This is what you get.
Yes.
You get it or you don't.
Yep.
And for someone who is on a healing journey, is evolving,
Hmm.
we are becoming, that's not going to work.
No.
That's not, the frequencies will be so off.
Yes.
And I've identified, and Terri, let me know if you have,
Okay.
that if I hang out with someone or if I'm surrounded by people who are not on the frequency right, with this idea of
Hmm.
like, oh, I can help them, right? It goes the opposite direction.
Girl, they drain
So
that energy.
yes, so it's not, you get around the people who, and I'm not saying less than. That's not what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Just
saying it's
different.
just different frequencies.
We're different
Yes,
frequencies. Yep.
different frequencies, and their operation manual for their life
Hmm.
is not necessarily in alignment with mine, right?
Yes.
And you can think like, oh, I can help pull them this way, but it's so much easier to be pulled down
Okay.
than it is to be pulled up.
That part. Nikki, that reminds me also of listening to my body more because my
Oh, girl.
intuition and my connection to spirit has been on one since I was little. And I think
Yeah.
because of what I experienced and just because of messaging I got, I quieted that down. I wasn't really in a safe space to
Mm,
listen to my body when I was
mm,
younger. And one of the things my therapist said to me was, she said, we did an activity where I went back to younger Terri and I thanked her for showing up in the way that she did because she was showing up in the best way she knew how to be safe as a
yeah.
child without tools and all that. So I did that activity. And now that I'm in this stage, I'm paying attention to how my body feels around certain people. Even if I can't put my finger
Mm,
on what it is, it's like
mm-hmm,
if that anxiety comes up,
mm-hmm.
if I don't feel like I can be at peace, I make a note. We don't
Mm.
always have to do something right then. Sometimes you just
That's
pause, like,
right.
okay, how do I
That's
feel when
right.
I leave this person? And
Correct.
usually it's like maybe I don't know what it is, but we just don't mesh. We're just not on the same wavelength.
Right.
And again, that's okay too. But I think being aware of it and listening to our bodies, because every time I listen to my body, it serves me
That's
well.
right.
But sometimes it doesn't appeal to the people around me. And I also had to let go. I had to let go of pleasing, I had to let go. What did I say? How did I frame this before? I had to let go of I guess, opinions of others. I forget how I worded it before, but
Yeah.
let go of the opinions of others. And so now some people might call me a bitch or that I'm difficult or that I'm too this or too
Mhm.
that. And guess what? I could be that. And I don't care. Because I'm listen, all these motherfucking bills I'm paying, like all the
Listen.
things that I'm managing in my life, I'm going to do
Okay.
what I want to do. So I don't
I know
care what
that's
people
right.
think who don't know my story, who don't know my journey, who go do your own work, okay? Because I'm doing the
That's right.
work and I'm
That's
committed
right.
to this lifelong journey. And so that's another thing as
Mhm.
someone who had low self esteem and who was so much, I was so fickle, just like being tossed like the wind to and fro. Because this
Mhm.
person said this, okay, I got to change up this way and act this way. No, I'm going to just be me and all my glory. And that's what it's going to be. Like,
Girl, yes. Oh, yes. I love that. I love that. I love that. And your body, listen, the connection to spirit, mind, and body is so
yes,
insane
yes.
and beautiful. And but I feel like, to your point, it's like we silence it or we disconnect them,
Yeah.
and it's like we tell ourselves, if we're feeling something, oh, it's okay, it's cool, but
Okay.
no, listen. And like,
Listen.
our bodies keep score. Our bodies keep score. Listen, Terry, I have done talk therapy. I
Yeah.
subscribe to all types of therapy. Sex therapy was the
Yes.
best. Okay, girl. It was
Mm-hmm.
the best because I
Yes.
identified like my BDSM assessment, so I know where I am on the chart. I was able
Oh,
to identify my script, like, of how I
okay.
learned. So how we learn about sex,
Mm-hmm.
it creates a foundation of how we show up in it. So like, it was just so amazing and magical. Like,
We
what
need a part two. I want to hear all about that
yeah,
because that's
it
what I'm
was
working through too right
amazing.
now.
It was and
What?
it wasn't what society makes it to
Yeah.
be. You know what I'm saying? It
Yeah.
was truly, it was like a connector of who I am
Yeah.
and who I am as a woman, right?
Yes.
That somewhere along the lines got silenced.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm a part of the purity culture. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Yes.
Okay, so growing up, we had a whole
Yeah.
pinky promise,
Virginity.
ring,
Yes.
all that,
Uh-huh.
all of it, right?
Yep. Yep.
But they didn't teach it to the guys, right? It was just the
Right.
women,
Uh-huh.
right? Right.
Doesn't
They
make
didn't
any
teach it to the
sense.
guys,
Yes.
and what the hell you do after you get married? Like, what do you do? What do
Listen.
you do when you have these long skirts down to your knees and you are all
Mm-hmm.
nice and covered up, and there are thought pockets on Instagram that will literally just give it all, show it all, and be
Yes.
proud of it, okay?
Yes.
Like, what do you do when you have no idea how to surfboard? Like, what does that mean?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like, you
Girl.
have so it's like they just in church they just said, oh, get married, you get married, oh, have
And then
fun.
what you
What
do
is
after?
fun?
What is fun? Girl, it's a science
What
tool. You
you
gotta,
mean?
yes, that is so
So sex
true.
therapy was like, it helped me to just tear down the distorted view of
Yes.
sexuality. That,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not saying it was intentional, right? It came
Yeah,
from the best intentions of like
for sure.
saving yourself and having, protecting your temple, protecting your body.
Yeah.
But don't don't tell little girls
Mm-hmm.
that their sexuality, something is wrong with it, or
Okay.
is,
Yes.
you know what I'm saying, like, or
Yeah.
hide it. Don't do that until you get married. No,
Yes.
explain, right? Like,
Explain. Mm-hmm.
explain. So I did sex therapy. I went to a chiropractor. Girl, I went to a chiropractor, and he did an alignment.
Yes.
I'm driving home after
Mm-hmm.
the alignment and all
Right.
of these memories that I totally forgot. Just it was like a
Wow.
it was like rapid fire memories that came back,
Yes.
and it
Oh.
showed me like the body
Mm-hmm.
literally, the tension in our shoulders, in our backs.
Yes.
Women pack it in our thighs, in our
Yes. In
hips,
our womb, girl.
in
Oh
our
my
womb.
gosh.
Yes,
Child.
it
Yes.
packs right there. If you
Oh.
don't release it, it
Mm-hmm.
turns to sickness,
Stress, heart
stress,
disease,
heart disease.
dis-ease. Yeah.
Yep.
All
Yes.
that in the body.
Yes, in the
Girl.
body. So we have to, that's why it's like so important to prioritize your healing, your
Mm-hmm.
journey. And I'm
Yeah.
so very proud of you. And
Thank
I
you.
know you know, it may not have been easy, right? Because you're on
Mm-mm.
the journey yourself.
Yeah.
But sis, you you are an inspiration
Thank
because
you.
I listen. Not only am I a fan and I follow you and I'm your friend, but I'm just like
And
I'm just
family.
so right and family. I'm just so very, very, very proud of you because regardless of the things that you've experienced in your life, you show up better. You show up better, and there are so many people who crack
Mm.
in those moments that you've rebuilt and you've redefined and you've rediscovered. And it is so beautiful. Like right now, I'm following your journey of just like rebranding, restructuring, just kind of redefining everything. And it is so beautiful to watch you to for you to just I'm just I'm proud of you. I'm like
Thank you
cheering
so
you
much.
on. I am cheering you on. I am here for you, whatever you need, girl. I got you. I got you. You
Oh,
are
I
not
appreciate you.
alone. Girl,
I wish you
listen,
lived
listen.
closer.
I
We'll have to do
know.
an in-person link up for
We
sure.
will. We will. Cause girl, I travel. I travel.
Okay.
I travel all the time.
Yes.
Girl,
And our daughters are
I
around the
just went
same
on a cruise.
age.
Literally, girl.
Yes.
We could have a girls trip with the
We
kids.
could. That would be so fun.
That
We
would
should
be
so do that because
awesome.
I'm looking for community. And I was like, God, can you send me like you said, good people? I don't want to be around just anybody, but like
Yes.
good people with similar energy. And that would be so amazing.
That would be
Mommy
dope. That would
daughter
be really dope.
trip.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
That might be a
I
thing.
want to be on the
Yes.
island.
Listen.
I want to, yes, we
Listen.
want to, that's what I want to do.
Listen.
And bring a
I
nanny so
know.
we can go out and have fun
Yes.
too.
Listen, I just, oh, yes, yes, yes. And I am just so grateful for you, so
Thank
grateful
you.
for your time. I know I want to be respectful because, girl, we could be on here
I
all
know.
day
Yes,
because I
yes.
love you so much.
I
But if
love
you had
you.
any advice for anybody who is either beginning their journey of healing, right? Or
Hmm.
identifying that, okay, maybe they need to prioritize it, and, you and I both know those initial steps are terrifying.
Yeah, they are.
They're terrifying because you don't know who you're going to lose. You don't, you've already lost yourself in some
Hmm.
capacity, right? So,
Yeah.
like, that process to become, to have courage to move forward. What would
Yes.
you tell that young lady who identifies with you? They want the healing, but they don't know how to move quite yet.
That is a beautiful question. And I have a quote and three next steps for the lady who is listening, who this resonates with. And the quote is, healing isn't becoming the person you think you should be, it's remembering who you were before the world told you who to be, and then making space for that person. So that's my perspective on healing. As far as the next steps, I would say number one is to get still and just be with yourself. If you can try to turn your phone off or turn it down, put on music without lyrics and really just be with yourself. Because I feel like in moments of solitude, that is when the best revelations have come. That is when I've heard
Mm,
spirit. That is when I've had to face myself. It's been challenging. There may be lots of tears, but know that you will get through it because many of us have been there and we've gotten through it. I wrote another one down. Number two is find community and support, whether it's through therapy, whatever modality resonates with you and where you are, finding community of people with a similar mindset. And number three is like take the leap, just do it. Because one of my greatest fears is being on my deathbed and having a regret about what I could have, should have, would have done when my time is up. And so I would say, take the leap. Like you will be so much happier that you at least tried it to see what it was like versus thinking like, oh, I wonder what could have happened if I would have done XYZ. And so I would say, yeah, those are the closing words I would share.
That's beautiful. Absolutely
Thank
beautiful. And Terri, where can people find you? Where
you.
can they connect with
Yes.
you?
So on Instagram, my new page is Terri Lynn Lomax, and Terri is spelled with an I. Lynn has two N's, and then Lomax, of course, Lomax. I am launching a goal mapping workbook and a manifestation guide. So you can check all of that out at terrilomax.com. It's just my name, TerriLomax. And then finally, my co host and I have a podcast called Cultivating H.E.R Space. Her is an acronym for healing, empowerment, and resilience. And you can catch us every single Friday, like clockwork, on the Cultivating Her Space podcast. And you can visit us at herspacepodcast.com or at Her Space Podcast on Instagram and other platforms.
Yay. Oh my gosh, Terri, thank you so
We did
much. This was
it.
so beautiful.
This was so
And
good.
to all who are listening, thank you so much for joining us on this episode. And we will talk with you next time. Bye.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, that was
This was such
so
a
good.
time. This literally felt like a girl
Time
talk.
flew
I love
by.
it.
I looked at the time and I was like, "Oh shoot," because I didn't know if you had anything after our.
I
So
was
I
flowing.
just
I just had at 4:30. I have to head out at 4:30 my time at 30. I
okay.
have to head out to get the little, but I was like, we rocking. So I was like, I'm just cool until 4:30. And then I was going to like see
Yeah.
your little chat. But this is great. Girl, this was so good. You did such an amazing job as an interviewer and just like
Oh,
making it a conversation. I can't wait to check out the rest of your episodes, especially with you and your fiance. And then you mentioned another one. I can't remember the other topic, but yeah, I can't wait to tune in. And we need to like, I
yeah.
need to give you my new number
For real. Yes, yes. We
or my
need to
number.
like,
Yeah.
you need to have, we need to exchange numbers because we're
Yes.
family. Yes, you can,
Yes.
girl. Because there are indeed a lot of parallels
There
with I
are.
didn't realize because when you said that y'all were together for 12 years, I was like, we were too.
That's
Like,
so wild. That magic number.
yes, we were
Oh,
too. And I just, oh, and our daughters, our
we're on the same
journeys of
age.
like our
Yes.
healing. Because like you
Yes.
mentioned, you had a moment just like bawling when you read that book.
Yeah.
My book was Trust from Ayanna Van
Trust.
Zant.
Oh, who? Her book, sir. I'm gonna write that one down too. Trust.
Trust, girl,
Okay.
that thing had me in the fetal position on the floor
I believe you,
for
girl.
hours.
Mm. Mm,
And I
mm,
was
mm. I
just
got
like,
goosebumps.
I just realized, I was like, man, like, I've been trusting people all wrong because there are
Mm.
different levels to trust. There are different forms of trust. And where we
Interesting.
mess up, she was
Yeah.
saying that we trust in people
Mm-hmm.
when
Mm.
and it's like how a kid trusts the parent, right?
Yeah.
The kids, they unless they have had an experience with the parents. Like for example, your
Right.
daughter, she's not going to be
Yeah.
like, "Oh, we don't have a house to live in." She trusts mommy. She knows we
Yes.
gotta. This my house.
Yes. Yep.
There's no doubt. You know what I'm saying? Like
Exactly.
this
Yeah.
is my house, and she trusts in you.
Yeah.
And then as adults, we trust in people the way kids
Mm-hmm.
trust in, and that's where we get hurt
Yeah. Mm.
because
Yeah, girl.
that trust. That's a
It's
different, you know what
different.
I'm saying?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
different. That is so interesting. Yeah, trust, expectations, like, yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's a lot. And I wanted to go back to what you said about purity culture because that's how I'm like, oh, we need to do another conversation. I'm gonna
We
start doing
can.
Instagram lives with some of
Okay.
my people, like my friends and family, like just people that I connect with where we have good conversations. I would love to do one with you where we talk
Yes.
about some topic. We'll figure it out.
Yes.
But just hop on and we
It
could,
could be whatever purity culture. I know you
yes,
mentioned like the sex therapy girl. Listen.
I went to one, but I want to go back to another one because I grew up in, purity. I was, the thing is, I was molested though. So I was introduced to sex
Yeah.
prematurely, like just sexual energy prematurely, and didn't, and then I was like, it was on my mind. I didn't know what to do with it. So I feel like I was
Mm.
like acting out in certain ways, but I didn't have consensual sex until I was 20 because I was like going to save it until I was married. And then when
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
did, oh, it was a wrap after that. I said, oh, I didn't have the full like experience that I was in ownership of. And so I feel like throughout my journey, though, I've wanted to be more expressive sexually, like with my topics and even like just
Yeah.
being sexy, like in photos. But I was always told, like, this is too much. You can't do that. So now I'm like, this is who I am. So I want to be able to spark those
Yes.
conversations, you know?
Yes.
So,
Yes. 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 And for me, like it was a issue of, I don't know, like I suppressed it.
yes.
I
Okay. I feel
suppressed it
that. Yeah.
because don't do that, right? And it's weird though because it wasn't from my mom.
Mm-hmm.
My mom, when she found out I first had sex,
Yeah.
she took me to the doctor and put me on birth control.
Oh, wow.
So she was like, even though I don't agree with it, she was like,
I'm
please
going to
protect
support you.
yourself. Yeah.
Yes.
She was like, protect yourself. So
Yeah.
like it didn't come from my mom. Like
Yeah.
she was very open about it, but like
Yeah.
I don't know, like it's just, but it helped me to identify the areas where I think I'm still navigating the waters of
Mm-hmm.
it and
What do you
really
mean by,
discovering who I am as a woman
okay,
and what I
sex?
desire.
Okay. Oh, girl.
Because
Okay.
I don't think, with the BDSM, I learned that I was a sub. So,
Okay. Have you
but I'm
explored
saying,
with that? Because I'm all into that, girl. I've been to sex clubs and all that.
girl, no. But and
No?
it's like no, and it's like I feel like other people need to educate themselves too.
Yes.
because because since I'm a sub, right? I'm not going
Yeah.
to be highly aggressive in the bedroom because that's
Yeah.
just not. I'm like
Yeah.
a kitten, girl. Just tell me. And the
Yes.
more I trust you, the
Yeah.
more open I am. So it's
Yes.
a and because when you talked about the body, like even she
Uh-huh.
had she know if it ain't it, it ain't it.
Oh. Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, for sure. Uh-huh.
Yeah, like even if what we're in our minds, like yes, we about to, I forgive you. We going to
Mm-hmm.
the. She like nah,
She
we
said,
not.
hell no.
Yeah,
Yes.
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 She like
No, we're not.
nah. I
And
don't want
see,
you no more.
when I got to the point where I was having to let me take a shot, let me like get out of my mind
Get
so I can just do this
yes,
thing. That's when I said my body is
yes,
not. This is not a full body yes, and I don't want to do it. I want to do,
yeah.
and that was the people pleasing in me. Like, okay, I
Mm,
got to do the right thing and do the. But girl, yeah. Ooh,
mm.
oh my god.
I'm
Okay,
so glad
let me
you
text you.
had
Let me
this
give you my
conversation.
number right now on the
I'm
chat
so
because I
glad.
love to
I'm
send
so
voice
glad.
notes, and so I
Yes.
feel like me and my friends will just do voice notes. And like, if you can't get back the same day, like, girl, I know we're busy. 846. Wait, what's my name? It's 415 846 4057.
But
Girl, I'm a
look, Terry,
mess.
I am
Okay.
always, listen, I'm always, always, always on Messenger. Like people
Oh,
message me more than they text me.
oh, really? So you don't text like that? Do you have
No,
a preference? Okay, you prefer Messenger.
yeah, Messenger.
Okay,
So this is what happens, and I think it's my
okay,
brain, and
okay,
it's the place of resistance that I am allowed to
okay,
resist because as a
okay.
business owner, and because I do marketing,
Yeah.
I I am hyper vigilant on checking messages
Okay.
because I do that with clients, right?
Yep, yep.
The place that is like literally I'm like, "Oh, you are invading the day," is text messages.
Really?
Now,
Okay, so
I
I won't be
will
texting you
say,
then.
yeah, I will say there are like people if you text me, it's totally fine. Like I'm not going to be like,
Okay,
"Oh, no." But I
okay.
be forgetting. Like
I feel that.
that's the spot. That's the spot where I'll
Mm-hmm.
reply in my head. Like
Girl.
even just today, my auntie was like, "Did you get my message from like 8 days ago?" Yeah, girl, I replied in my head. I'm sorry, my bad. We gonna see
Exactly,
you.
exactly.
Like, I was like, we
Okay,
gonna
I
see
feel
you.
that. And let me
So
ask you,
just
is it
know,
Nikki with two K's?
yes, Nikki
Okay,
with two
cool. And then
K's.
I'm gonna put Nikki in the phone, and then I forgot what's your last name. Did you change your name when
Curry.
you?
I no, I
Okay,
didn't. But it's
I'm
about to
not
be
changing mine either.
Williams.
Oh, Williams.
Yeah, Williams.
Okay, Williams. That was my name growing
But
up, girl.
oh, it
Uh-huh.
was? Girl, listen.
Yes.
But I'm thinking about adding and not hyphenating, but
Okay.
just keeping Curry because I don't want Izzy to be the only Curry.
I changed my maiden name to my middle name, and so we all had the same last name. So Lomax
Okay.
was my Lomax is now legally my middle name. But
Okay.
I don't tell people like, you know. But yeah,
Yeah.
when I got married, I dropped my two middle names that my family gave me when I was younger, and so I just used Lomax. So you
So
could
you could
instead of
okay.
hyphenating.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cause I just and some people were like that don't matter, but I feel like kids do because
Yes,
if
like me and
you're
my
in a
mommy had the
home,
same.
yeah, if
Yeah.
you're in a home, everybody has one last name and you don't
Yeah.
have the same last name. That's
Yes.
you know. So
Yes,
I
that can
just
impact.
yeah
I
yeah
think a
yeah
lot of black moms are like that because you know how many black moms they may have different baby dads and they'll have all them kids got the same last name. Like they just want everybody because you
yes
don't want to feel left out. So I get that.
yeah
That's not
yeah
bad at all.
yeah.
Oh, Nikki, it's raining outside. I'm gonna go 'cause I gotta go pick up this little one. But
Yes,
girl,
please
this was
do.
so amazing. I Sex is gonna be a big topic for my new brand. So I can't wait for us to be able to be on Messenger to talk more about this because I didn't experience some things and did some
Girl.
things, and I want to hear about your experiences. So sex and other things, like all the
Yes.
things we're gonna talk about. But
Yes.
that
All
is
the things.
definitely
All
really
the things.
interesting.
But this was
It
beautiful. Girl,
was. Thank you so
I love
much.
you.
I love you too. Where are you located?
Bluffton, South Carolina. Where are
Okay, I've
you?
never been there. I'm in San Francisco,
Okay, so you're in San
so
Fran.
we're a little
I'm near
distance.
Hilton Head, South
Hilton
Carolina.
Head.
So the island, yeah,
Oh,
in South
okay.
Carolina. Hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna write that down. But yes, we will definitely in 2025. I foresee
We got to figure it
maybe if
out.
your wedding is 5/5. Okay, we'll figure it out. We'll figure out a time.
Yeah,
But we're gonna have
we'll
to do
figure
a
it out.
mommy daughter
Cause
link
even
up.
if it's a cruise, like even if it's a
Mm-hmm.
cruise or something where we take the
Yeah.
girls, um,
Yes.
and if hopefully like maybe their schedules align with like
Okay.
when they're out of school, and we can just figure it
Yeah.
out. Just fly
That sounds
somewhere,
good.
take a cruise, hang out,
I'm with it.
all inclusive, honey.
Yes, all inclusive. I am with it. Yes, let's do it, girl. Thank you again, Mama. This was so
You're
fun.
welcome.
I'll
You're
talk
so
to you soon, girl. I'll see you
welcome.
on Messenger.
Okay, all right. Talk
All
to you
right, Mama.
later.
See you later.
Bye.